I got the Frankenstein I-bomb from the forum. And down here we have I-bomb. We pick Frankenstein latest, and it's revision 1.2 December 2017. There is no hard or fast rule of placing SMD parts on a PCB, though generally I think people like to put the ICs on first because it gives them more access to the pins. But if you look like major production houses like Gigabyte, they'll put all their low profile parts on first because it takes time to step the pick and place head over taller parts. Because I'll be using a clip, I have to work from the inside out, because my clip won't reach over a tall part to hold a small part down. Okay, we have our I-bomb, and we've ticked off all the parts that we have, and we keep all those counted and ticked off parts in one box. Then after we finish fitting that set of parts, we place the remainder in another box, and any parts left in the first box will tell us we've missed something. And the first part I'm going to start with is this one, which is a 0.1 UF. With our capacitor converter, 0.1 microfarad is 100 nanofarad. It's a good idea to check if the part matches the label, especially parts from eBay. It is imperative with SMD that you have the right part and it is the correct value, because some parts don't have writing, so you can't check the board afterwards for wrong parts. 111 nanofarads is close enough. We position capacitor C291, clamp it down with our alligator clip with extended wire jaw. A bit more adjusting. Dip our solder in good quality American flux. Solder one end. Angle board so we can get to the other side. And solder the other side. This method makes beautiful joints, but I had to abandon it because it was just so slow. I tried another method where I just left the part sitting freely on the board. Then I super carefully put the tip on the pad and fed in the solder. This method was a bit of a lottery because the part moves, and I will show you later how to correct the alignment, but I abandoned it because it was too haphazard. Okay, I got 10 of these capacitors down, but there's 11. I couldn't put this one on because I can't get access to this IC to solder it. So I think I'll put on the FT232. Number checks out. We flux the pins. We have our pin 1 marker dot top right. Our chip marker dot is also top right. Clip it down. Unfortunately it moved and I didn't notice. This is a chip where the pin pitch is too fine, so you have to blob the solder on and wick it off. A wedge tip probably would have been better here. We anchor the far side so it doesn't move. We wick out the excess. Spin the chip around and do the same. It looks okay, but we will be checking it later. We have our FT232 done, so we'll tick that off. And we finished off our 11 capacitors, so we'll tick that off. And I think we'll do the 201s next. U201 is LMV324. And part label is LMV324. Unfortunately this ST part doesn't have a dot on pin 1. Looking at a picture from the forum, looks like the majority of writings on this end, like the ST symbol, and I'm hoping the ST logo is pin number 1. We flux our pads and line up the ST symbol with the silkscreen circle at the bottom left. We clip it down. This has a wide enough pin pitch that you can do one pin at a time. Spin the board around and do the other side. It looks okay, but we'll inspect it later. That's our 3 LMV324s fitted, so we tick them off. Next we'll look at these, which is 24 1.5k resistors, 1.5k ohms. The first one skewed at 45 degrees and needed straightening, but somehow this one stayed straight. If you have to straighten a part, use the tip, not the side, or the uneven surface tension will pull it crooked. This is what I mean by double checking a part if the solder actually attached to the pad, by touching them up again afterwards. After you've soldered side 1 and 2 of a part, go back to side 1, and if the part comes off the board, you know side 2 was never actually attached to the PCB. You can even try side 2 again just to be safe. I'll show you a better example later. If you put too much solder on a joint, just swipe and tap. Solder balls flung off due to inertia. This kills two birds with one stone because you're removing solder and checking if the part was actually attached to the board. We tick off the 1K5. Next I think I'll tackle these capacitors and its alternating resistors. The capacitors are 0.01 microfarad. Looking at microfarads, we go down to 0.01 and we get 10 nanofarads. It's very easy to mix up capacitors with their microfarad, the nanofarads and the pictofarads. Like I just sold on 11 pictofarad capacitors when I should have been using nanofarad capacitors. I spotted this mistake because this was the second capacitor that was missing from my box of sorted parts. This would have been hard to spot later without my sorting system because capacitors don't have anything written on them. 9.32 nanofarads is close enough. And the alternating resistors are 100 ohm. 99.6 ohms is close enough. This is the technique I settled on from here on in. Flux the pads, place part, load the tip with solder, carefully hold down part and apply tip loaded with solder. Solder side 2, touch up side 1 and 2 again to see if the part falls off. That's our 10 nanofarad fitted, or our 0.01 microfarad, so we can tick that off. But we can't tick off our 100 ohm resistors because we haven't fitted these yet. And I can't fit these until I fit these. And I can't fit these until the ICs are in. So our TC4427s are next. Okay, so these yellow pins designate pin 1, but we can also check on the PCB. That's our 1s there. And our cell screen looks like it has a little mark on it, like the one near Q412. After all that trouble of working out how to solder under the TC4427, the IC didn't even have a metal base to solder to. We line up our pin 1 dot with this little flare on the silkscreen line, clip it down, a bit of flux. This one also has a wide pin pitch so you can solder one pin at a time. Spin the PCB and flux the pins. Note how I apply solder to the tip, not the pin. Three TC4427s. Okay, we have our 3 TC4427s in, so we tick them off. Now we have to do these ones. Gee, that's going to be a bit difficult getting in between these two. So it's 2.7K. 2.69K. That's our 6 2.7K resistors fitted. I've fitted these 6 2.7K resistors, but I can't fit these until I fit these, because they'll get in the way. So our next part will be this one, which is 7 LEDs. I think I'll make this 6 red and this one blue. Now polarity. I always get mixed up which end's positive and negative. We set our digital multimeter to diode test mode. The positive end of the tweezer goes to the line side of the diode, and the negative goes to the non-line side. It lights so we know the line is positive and the other side is ground. We now know the line is on the positive side, so we go to our schematic for 605. That's the negative side, so this is the positive side. The positive side goes to R601, R601 here, and there's the link. So you put the line on this side, pin 1. The green line on the bottom has to go to the pad at the top. So we spin it around and flip it over. This broken green line on the top must be ground. That's 6 of our red LEDs fitted and 1 blue off screen. So we can tick off this one, 7 of them.